fellas, I'm Dangerous Trevor here with the Dangerous Traders Workshop. Got another special episode for you today. As you can see, spring has sprung. I've shifted colors, switched over to the summer vest. It's absolutely beautiful out. Today we've got an episode all about hitting things. We got things that hit things. Hammers, pretty useful. Don't always want to use these big old nasty metal things when I'm applying percussive maintenance actions to what I'm getting after. Don't use bats either, that's bad grain. Now, you can sit down with a chunk of wood, turn yourself out a little monstrosity like this. It works okay, but that's working with the grain. You don't always want to hit things with the grain because it's generally bad for the mallet itself. It's more likely to split, it's more likely to dent. It's just not as good. You want something that goes the face of the grain. See, you get all that, so when you smack it with something, it smooths it out a little bit, it applies the force across, and it's more even across the face of the actual percussive device. This is a terrible one, this is an early prototype, don't worry about it. We're gonna make a much cuter one. It's just a hunk of walnut. I split this out a little bit earlier. And this piece of mulberry, it's gonna be a nice handle. I just turned that round. We're gonna have some fun with it. Let's go. All right, the first issue we've got to deal with is this here head for the mallet we're gonna build up. What we wanna do is smooth out the sides so they're generally even, make them nice. Cut off the face so it's about the right size we need it. Put a hole through it, of course. But let's just start with where we're starting. Running across the grain. Oh, that was miserable. Cut that out. We'll just go against the grain with the bench plane, set pretty coarse. If we set a course like that, it generally works just fine like this. So let's get this side smoothed out. Ooh, maybe that's a bit too rough. Oh, that's definitely a bit too rough. There's a lot still needs to come off there. I think I'm gonna rip cut this. Just so we're all on the same page, nobody actually likes rip cutting anything. Did switch vices for this because the bench vise totally sucks, but you know what? We use what we can. Beautiful. Now back to what we were doing. Just gotta smooth off all these ends. Even that side I just rip cut because rip cuts are terrible. Now that we've got all our crossbank grain action done, almost, and it's pretty sharp looking. Now to do that to 3 more sides. All right. Now that I've got all the edges well smooth and put wax on top of them like a dumbass somehow, let's switch it over to the crosscut just to give it nice faces. Keep in mind, this is a different saw from the saw I was using earlier. This is a crosscut saw, not a rip cut saw. There is a difference. I could go into weeks on that because that's pretty entertaining. Long story short, go.
Okay, taking a step back, I think that was actually a sash cut saw and not a cross cut saw. That's neither here nor there. At this point, I'm just gonna add some cute little features. It's gonna make me happy. Let's round off these edges. Yeah, I am leaving clamp marks here. That's not a big deal. This is a shop tool designed for use in my shop. I'm not sending this to anyone. This is mine. This is for doing things. So I don't feel bad about that. If this was a production piece, I would find a way to get rid of those or prevent them entirely. Preventing them entirely would probably be easier if I had a proper bench vise. But I could probably just steam those out. But not worried about it. Just gonna get after it. I could probably use the spoke shape for this. I do like spoke shape in everything. Alright, now that we have those face corners done, we'll just come along the edges. That's those nasty bits I was talking about that I was peeling up. Those are gone now. See? Order operations can be important depending on what you're trying to do. Besides, these nice filleted corners, they make it look like I did a better job of making everything straight. All right, that's perfectly acceptable for a mallet. Let's get that on the drill press. That going all the way through was just sheer dumb luck. I don't know what size bit that was, but you know what, it doesn't matter because we're gonna work it down to that size. All right, so what we're doing here now is we're gonna turn this down to just a reasonable size. We got out the rough and spindle gouge for that. Head's gonna go on this side. It's important to denote that early on, otherwise you're gonna forget and you're gonna look stupid. I think I'm gonna manage to pull this one out entirely with just the skew and the roughing gouge. Let's yeah, I shouldn't need anything else. Let's do this. All right, now we got that, let's designate where our head's gonna end. We'll give it a little bit of play here, so it'll be about right here. I think I've got that pretty close to where I want it. I've got it chucked up here in the old 3 jaw so that I can work on it like this. See that hole still, or that tenon there is still a little bit too wide. Let's get that knocked down just a touch. Let's keep that right there. Wish I had a hammer. All right. Oh goodness, I'm potatoing it. Okay, so at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pull this head off and recenter it with this. When I'm done with that, I'm gonna carve out the handle. We'll go into the details of the handle when I get there. All right, I've got it rechucked, and this is the part where the hand should go because we've already determined where the head should go. I also need to peel just a little bit off right there because that was slightly tighter than I wanted it to be, and we're gonna show you some tricks in a minute here. But before then, I need a couple of things. I need a shoulder here so that the head has something nice to rest on, and I like a bulb over here around the back. When you can get a nice bulb around the back, it just keeps the hammer from slipping out of your hand. So let's start peeling some material off and get to our approximate shape, shall we? nice handle. Ooh, look at that bottom. That's pretty beautiful right there. Oh, nice little turn, I do say so myself. Let's hit the next step. Just gonna take this and run a quick little line. Now what we're gonna do with that is we can drive a wedge through there and actually tighten it against the frame of the hammer head. It's gonna be nice. With any tool, I always recommend that boiled linseed oil for the finish. I may have covered it before, I may not have, but I'm about to do it anyway. First of all, I love the way it looks, so of course I'm gonna recommend it. Second of all, it is air drying, and when it dries into a very, very, very soft finish. Now, what that means, which, yeah, that does sound bad for a tool, but what it really means, oh man, that's really sucking that up on that end grain. What that means is that when you do something, like hit something with it, that finish, it's not gonna chip, it's not gonna crack, it's gonna do what soft things do, it's gonna be a bit malleable, and it's going to end up just sort of going with the flow on it. Just get that handle real good too. Love how it makes that grain pop out a little bit. Yeah, it adds a little bit of a yellow hue to it, but that's no big deal to me. Getting it all over the bench. It's a good thing that this is a great finish for a workbench. One coat should be okay for just a tool. If I was doing this something production level, I would definitely give it 2, because you can make a linseed oil finish absolutely pop, but that's not what I'm doing right now. All right, that paper towel's thrown off to the side. Let's get that banged on there. There's most of our little hammer. Now all we got to do is get that little wedge in the end. Best part about hammers, they are the hammer. Just stick that little wedge in there. I actually cut that wedge out on the bandsaw and just stuck it in there. See how deep that really wants to go in there? Ooh, doesn't want to go in there straight. There we go, that's in there real tight. Let's just get that chopped off. This is really hard sawing with the left hand. On an oil wet piece of wood, no doubt. Let's tap that a couple more times just for the shit of it. There we are.
And there we have it, party people. A nice, beautiful tool right here in the workshop, from the workshop, by the workshop. That's probably the most fun part about having a nice little wood shop, and especially a lathe, is making your own tools. That lathe really helps you out with that sort of thing. Something about straight lines and nice handles gets it real good. That's comfy too. That little bump at the end keeps from flying out the hand. That little bump at the front keeps them from running your knuckles into it. That little shoulder looks sharp. There's a gap there. You may or may not see that. I hope you don't. But ready to dang some donglers or smash some stuff with this junker. Get after it. Bow. Ooh, that's sharp.